Wonderful. So this is chapter 11, 47th verse onwards. 47th verse is where Krishna is now responding to Arjuna's situation. So Arjuna has seen the whole Vishwarupa Darshanam. He's had a Vishwarupa Darshanam and he's gone into some kind of a fear because he is seeing something that he has not seen before. And he is having a certain kind of a restlessness, a jitteriness that is there in him. So we discussed this last week. Why does this jitteriness come? Because we are not familiar with that state. See, when Bhagavan also comes, for example, used as a joke a lot of times, right? When Bhagavan comes, what do we ask him? First of all, we will not acknowledge that this is Bhagavan. We will not know that it is indeed Bhagavan who has come. How do you recognize Bhagavan? Only when your experience is profound. Something that happens within you, then you recognize, oh, this individual is probably an amsha, some kind of a form. Otherwise, just by the looks of it on the outside, if we are used to seeing Krishna with the mail pili and the flute and the crown and all of that, when he comes and stands like the movie, oh my God, those who have seen that movie, oh my God, Paresh Rawal doesn't recognize that that is Krishna, right? Almost till the end, he doesn't recognize. And that is our condition. If he comes in a pant and shirt and shorts and t-shirt and all of that, it's hard for us to recognize. And if someone does come around and gives us an experience that is profound within us, then we probably recognize that, hey, maybe this person has something divine about him, something little more than what we would perceive normal human being to. Now, whether that person is Bhagavan himself or not, that is still a question, right? It's very hard for us, like if Dhruva says, Dhruva Maharaj says that after 6 months of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayana himself came down. He has had that experience. Now, if for us, if it how will it happen? How did it happen for Dhruva Maharaj? We don't know really. Bhagavatam says he came down in form. So the form that he experienced was all that he was meditating upon for 6 months in his mind had now taken form and shape when his eyes opened on the outside. So what he was visualizing on the inside, for 6 months he was doing kathor tapasya, without eating, sleeping, drinking, and at a certain point he was not even breathing. So the Bhagavatam says when he stopped breathing, then because his prana had become one with the prana of the universe stopped breathing. People started feeling suffocated. So that is when the Devatas went to Narayana and they said, Bhagavane, do something. There is this little boy, 5, 6, 7-year-old boy who's doing such tremendous tapasya. And because of him, this whole universe has kind of come to a standstill. And then Narayana comes down and gives him darshana. So, Kalpaka Singh Pillai Lokacharya once had Lord Narasimha visiting on the Vaigasi Swati. Lord leaves, there's a strong camphor smell. There is a strong camphor smell after Lord leaves, and then Acharya gives a heads up on invasion. Okay. Correct. So there will be some indication or intimation that Bhagavan will leave to show that, yes, I was there. I was present. Right? Pillai Lokacharya had the sense of strong camphor smell when Bhagavan left. That's what Kalpaka has put. Now, whatever happens, the important thing is while that experience is going on, what Dhruva Maharaj saw versus what Arjuna saw was different. Dhruva Maharaj saw Narayana, but not in the Vishwarupa Darshanam as Arjuna saw. Arjuna saw him as this huge being with so many heads, so many hands, fire coming out, people going into his mouth, getting stuck in his teeth, all that, you remember, all that he says. The world's collapsing, the world's getting created, all of that he sees in a single vision and single view, and it is a ghora experience. He is having a very terrible experience. Although it starts off with a very deep experience, a very deep, profound experience, and then it starts, his experiences, it's going into some kind of a, oh my God, it's such a not, he's not afraid in the sense he's seen a demon. It's not like that, right? He's not trying to run away, but he's seen something that is so uh, grand that he is not able to grasp and hold on to it for a long time. So even for us, when we say Bhagavan comes in some form, there is some experience that occurs, we have to practice this. If we don't practice, it will so happen that when Bhagavan comes in a certain form, we may not be able to recognize it. And also, if it happens, we will, suppose somebody has a dream of Bhadrakali coming in your dream, you'll wake up with all sweat. But Bhadrakali is a beautiful form of Devi. If Narasimha comes like that, get up with a scare.
He actually comes as a very old man, stout old man. அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கும் அந்த இதுல descriptionல. ரொம்ப முடி, he's very hairy. He's a very hairy old man. He comes and asks for Acharya. The disciple says, நீங்க இப்பெல்லாம் ஆச்சாரியாவை பார்க்க முடியாது அப்படின்னு ஏதோ சொல்லிட்டு, இல்ல நான் கண்டிப்பா பார்த்தே ஆகணும். I have a very important message to pass on அப்படின்னா it goes. And then they offer some கல்கண்டு பால் or something, and then he says, இல்ல என் பொண்டாட்டி ரொம்ப கோச்சுப்ப மலக்காரி, அவளை வந்து
This is Pillai Lokacharya, right?
ஆமா ஆமா ஆமா.
So, but see, that is a very gentle expression of Lord coming in your presence, right? It's a very gentle expression. We are talking about cases like what Arjuna is going through, what Dhruva Maharishi went through, and many such people who have the visitation and they're experiencing Bhagavan's presence while it is there, not after they've gone. While during the presence itself, they're experiencing something so grand, so profound. It's like how Ramakrishna Paramhamsa touched Narendra or kicked him in his chest, and he went into Samadhi for 3 days. And when he comes back, he narrates that in that Samadhi state, he experienced whirling universes and galaxies and nebula and this, that, and the other. He saw various colors, he heard so many sounds and all of that. He was in a state of Samadhi. Now, a lot of times what may happen is if your mind is not matured, you may go into a state of Samadhi, you may have a very profound experience, but it can result in some level of fear because we have not practiced. We have not practiced Samadhi. We have not practiced being alone. We have not practiced being silent. So when a very profound or a grand experience of like this comes, our primal tendency is of fear. That comes out. Right? So what Arjuna has gone through, as we spoke, he went through multitudes of emotions, different kinds of emotions he went through. One of the emotions that kind of lingered towards the end was that of fear. The other experiences were highlighted earlier, like the experience of devotion, the experience of love, the experience of gratitude, the experience of surrender, all of that came. And then what stayed back was the fear, because that's a very primal tendency that we carry. It's an animal tendency. It is the most deep-rooted tendency within us, which doesn't go away so soon. It's probably the last thing to go away, because fear is what keeps us, it's a survival instinct. Fear is what keeps us living. If you take away fear completely, you walk onto the road, you will not worry if a car is going to come and ram into you. You'll keep walking. Right? Fear is what makes you preserve yourself. The only problem is when fear becomes an obsession, which means it becomes paranoia. That's the problem. We become so afraid about everything. What will happen if this happens? What happens that happens? Or what happens this does not happen? So we create all these mental jugglery we do with the mind, and we allow fear to run the day. Fear should be used as a tool, like anything else. Fear is a good tool to be used to safeguard yourself from being by causing harm to yourself. In fact, fear is good even for our own selves, in a way where we don't go and do things that will have wrong consequences. My mother would say, சின்ன வயசுல I remember, I say this in Tamil, தன்னை கண்டு பயப்படுறவன் தப்பு பண்ண மாட்டான், which means the one who is afraid of himself will not do anything wrong. Means there is a certain, if I do this, there'll be a certain consequence which will harm me, so let me not do it. So you kind of preserve yourself, but in the interest of what? In the interest of higher pursuit, higher knowledge, higher ideal, higher devotion, higher understanding. Fear should not constrain you. Fear should be helping you to create that safe zone for you to climb up. So here Krishna is telling, or Arjuna rather, has had, so this everything, all these emotions come out and fear remains. And then he tells Bhagavan, I'm not able to be in this huge grand form of yours. It is it is kindling a lot of fear within me. And another thing, remember, fear is not of this janma alone. Every individual goes through 8.4 million births before they take the human birth. 8.4 million yonis, 84 lakh yonis. Those who had come to Dwaraka Yatra, you would remember that Chaushashti, not 64, Chaurasi. The Chaurasi, this is where Sudama's place. In
The
Sudama,
maze மாதிரி இருக்கு.
there was a maze, the Chaurasi maze, where 84, it represents the 84 lakh or 8.4 million births that one takes before you get to the human birth. It was a very beautiful experience. We had spoken about this. So like that, the fear that is there is from so many lifetimes. It is embedded, it is crystallized within us. So to get over that fear, it will take time. But how do we do it? You practice through our other normal times of the day, normal days of the week, normal weeks of the month. Through our life, we practice going into silence. We practice being alone. We practice facing our own fears, sitting down. Right? If you're afraid of sitting and meditating, persist. Persist. Find out ways in which you get over that fear. You close your eyes for some time. After a little while, something happens, then suddenly you're forced to open your eyes, because there's some kind of the mind will create a lot of disturbances, mental formations will come. It will force you to open your eyes. No, if you want to practice, set yourself 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I'm going to close my eyes and not open it, whatever may happen. Make a sankalpa. For the next 15 days, I'm going to do like this. 20 days, I'm going to do like this. 21 days. Take a sankalpa and say that I am not going to open my eyes for 15 minutes from, say, 6:30 to 6:45 every evening. Finished. Go sit somewhere. Doesn't matter whatever happens, close your eyes and sit. Keep an alarm, 6:45, let it ring. This is how we train the mind. The reason I said 6:45 keep alarm is otherwise you might sleep off and then you'll open your eyes 6:45 a.m. next day. The wife will be like, Yenna. So you practice this way so that you make your mind listen to you. There are different ways. We have to take that initiative. Each one has to take that initiative. I'm going to tell my mind to now shut up and learn being alone. Right? A lot of people may say that, I find it very comfortable being alone. That's fair. Because these tendencies, as I said, is not just of this janma. You may have had some very bad experiences in your last life, the life before. It probably comes forward. And you don't know what to do with it, but train your mind. We can train our minds. But we have to take that sankalpa, that resolve. I train my mind to do this. So Krishna's situation, Arjuna's situation is similar to ours. He is seeing this and he's getting restless after a certain point. He's saying, how long do I keep looking at this? Come down, oh Krishna. So he's looking at him and saying, he's pleading to him. He's saying what? Please come to your normal form. And then Bhagavan says, Maya prasannena tavarjuna idam rupam param darshitam atmayoga tejo mayam vishwam anantam adyam yanme tvadanyena na drishtapurvam. So Arjuna, I am pleased with you. I am pleased with you. And now see, now Bhagavan is having compassion. He's not saying, he's not telling Arjuna, what nonsense is this? What do you mean you can't see this form? Right? He's not saying all that. Okay, good. You've seen it. I've given you because I was pleased with you. I've given you. Now I'm compassionate also to tone it down, to regulate it down. So you say, I'll regulate it. I'll tone it down. I'll come to my normal form. So this is the beauty, right? What happens is whenever there is some form of this experience, profound experience that occurs, if there is something that happens within us, right, that causes a fear, one mantra I will tell you, it will always help you. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Repeat this in your mind. When you have some kind of a profound experience and you think you're getting worried, you don't know what to do with it, you chant this mantra. The Guru mantra will always come handy because the Guru is somebody who is the compassionate form of Krishna that we're talking about here, where Krishna is saying, okay, I'm pleased with you, I will come down because you are now requesting. This is the Guru. So Guru is the mother as much as he is the father. So like the father, he'll reprimand, he'll discipline you, but like the mother, he'll show compassion. Right? So he's saying, Bhagavan Uvacha, Maya prasannena tavarjunedam rupam param darshitam atmayogat tejo mayam vishwam anantamadyam. So from Ananta, from this whole, whatever you've seen, this form, infinite form of mind, O Arjuna, I am showing this out of my yoga, the power of my yoga maya. And Atma Yogat, because from my yoga maya, I'm creating this. And you have seen it. Nobody else has seen it before this. Drishta Purvam, na Drishta Purvam. Yanme Twadanyena na Drishta Purvam. Nobody else has had the bhagyam or the privilege of seeing this form. Na Veda Yajna Adhyayanairna Danehi. This form cannot be seen by studying the Vedas, by doing yajna, by doing adhyayana, spiritual studies, by doing dana. न च क्रियाभिर्न तपोभिर उग्रैहि not by doing any kriya, not by doing any tapas or ugra tapas, by doing kator tapas. Don't think you will get this. Evam rupa shakyam aham nrloke. By no mortal is ever the world of mortals, nobody has seen this form. Drashtum twadanyena kuru pravira. Only you've been blessed to see this because I am very pleased with you, O Arjuna. And then he goes on to say, Mate vyatha macha vimudha bhavaha drishtva rupam ghoram idring mamedam vyapeta bhi prita mana punastvam tadeva me rupam idam prapashya. So now he's telling him, don't be worried about this form. Mate vyatha, do not be afraid. Ma cha vimudha bhavaha, don't go into a state of bewilderment or don't go into a state of confusion. By looking at this, drishtva rupam ghoram idring mamedam, this ghora rupam of mind, terrible form of mind, don't get worried, don't get fearful, don't go into a state of confusion. Be Vyapeta bhihi, from fear, be free from fear, and be of prita manaha, be of pleasant mind. Punastvam, again you are, you again see now this the more familiar form of mind now you see. So Krishna is now from that Ghora Rupam. He is saying, by looking at this Ghora Rupam, don't worry, it is me, the same Narayana that you know of with 4 arms, Shankha Chakra Gada Hasta. So I am the same one. I will come down to this form for you. So he says that Mate Vyatha, don't worry, Macha Vimudhama Bhavaha, Drishtva Rupam Ghoram Idring Mamedam. By looking at this Ghora form of mind, don't get worried, don't get confused. Vyapeta bhihi, be free of fear. Pritamanaha, be cheerful, be pleasant in your mind. Punaha tvam tadeva me rupam idam prapashya. Now see this regular, the normal form that you know Bhagavan as. Right? Bhagavan, you know Bhagavan as what? This 4 arms, whatever, the Kalyana Rupam. When we look at Bhagavan, we always look at the Kalyana, the auspicious form of Bhagavan. Right? We have spoken about this in Saundarya Lahari. Why is the Saundarya form of Devi or Saundarya form of Bhagavan, Krishna, Narayana, Mahadeva? Even Shiva is considered to be in the cremation ground with Jatamudi and all of that, right? Bhasmam and all that. But look at all the pictures and images of Shiva that are drawn and painted, and you see, he doesn't look Gora. He's actually Aghora. One of his names is Aghora, which means he's not terrible. He's very gentle. He's Bhola. Shambhu, Bholenath. He's called Bholenath, means he's very compassionate. He's very gentle. So that form of Shiva, although you say he is like a somebody who's in the cremation ground, you may want to imagine that he is going to look very ugly, very dirty. In fact, story goes that when he goes to ask Sati's hand in marriage, the mother faints by looking at Parvati's hand. The mother faints and falls off. And then later he does good Nana Mekapla Mandavara, and that is where he's called Sundareshwara. Right? That is the story of Sundareshwara. But the idea is that even though that part of the story is there, but even otherwise, Shiva is not Ghora to look at. Right? So we always want the Kalyana Rupam of our Bhagavan, the Ishta Devata, the auspicious form. So he is saying, I will now come and show this auspicious form to you, O Arjuna. Now, who's narrating all of this? Sanjaya. Right? So Sanjaya comes in now and he says, Sanjaya vacha ityarjunam vasudevas tathoktva swakam rupam darshayamasa bhuyah ashvasayamasa cha bhitamenam bhutva punas saumya vapur mahatma. So, having thus spoken, ityarjunam vasudevasta vasudevas vasudevas tatha uktva, having spoken such to Arjuna, this Vasudeva or Krishna, swakam rupam darshayamasa bhuyah. Now he is going to display, or he is displaying this the personal form, swakam rupam. Personal form means a form in which Arjuna can connect with him. Arjuna is not able to, beyond a certain point, he is not able to connect with this Virata form, this cosmic form. So now he comes down to a form that is able to connect with him. Swakam Rupam. Ashvasayamasa, in the form of giving him Ashvasana. Ashvasana means what? Giving him some kind of consolation. Ashvasamayamasa cha bhitamenam, to console him from the fear that he is carrying. In the form of consoling him, he comes to this form. Bhutva punas saumya vapur mahatma. So he takes this saumya form. Who? Mahatma. This Mahatma. Who is this Mahatma? Krishna. This Mahatma is taking the Saumya form to come now in front of Krishna, front of Arjuna. So why is he now calling Sanjaya, calling him as Mahatma? Because that is the Swabhava of a Mahatma. Compassion is one of the most important attributes of a Mahatma. If we want to be recognized, I mean, not that, I mean, if someone is recognized as a, when you go and see that whatever situation, whatever condition, whatever happens, so many things up and down, but you recognize that this person has compassion, knowing that everybody in their most innermost form is an amsha of Bhagavan, knowing that in their innermost core they want to be good. If you know this for the truth, nobody is wanting to be bad fundamentally. Situations, environment, conditioning, whatever makes them respond to events in some ways that make them like that. See, even the most cruelest of human beings will have moments of tearing, crying. Hitler, if you talk about Hitler, who's killed 6 million Jews, but he's definitely had moments where he sat down and cried, and he had moments of breakdown, right? Doesn't mean that if somebody is doing that kind of atrocities, you keep forgiving him. It doesn't mean that. But this is what is said, right? Condemn, my guru also says this, condemn not the person, but the act. Condemn the act. That's not wrong, but don't condemn the person, because every human being always has an opportunity to turn around. You don't know when that will happen. Like Angulimala in Buddha's story. He had killed, whether he killed or not, he at least mutilated 99 people and got their thumb and put it as a mala. And he was looking for the 100th one, and he found Buddha. He had come there to cut Buddha's finger, the thumb, and put it as the 100th one and celebrate. But the moment he saw this person, he was compassion incarnate. He was just standing there as this lump of compassion. And all he could do was just fall at his feet. And he said, I don't know why I feel like not attacking you. Buddha didn't give any gyan, any pravachan. Angulimala, he didn't say, Bapa Okar, I'll give you 1 Ramanara, I'll give you Vedantam Upanishads and all, nothing. His presence was compassion. So he felt that compassion. Angulimala felt there is something about this person. And he fell at his feet. And he became a Sishya, one of his most leading disciples. So like that, Mahatma, the reference of Krishna as Mahatma here, Sanjaya is making, is to point out that, see, as Bhagavan, he doesn't have to show compassion, right? The whole creation is his. In fact, they said, how long will it take Bhagavan to put into Krishna's mind that do like this? How long will it take for Krishna to do that? In a moment, he can do that, right? He can influence Arjuna's mind. Because his whole creation is his. All the 24 tattvas are his. From the Purusha to the Prakriti to the Trigunas to the everything till the Panchabhutas, everything is Bhagavan's creation. So if somebody is able to show this whole creation, how long will it take to go and alter Arjuna's mind? But he is not doing that, right? That is indeed is violence. If I influence your mind by from external means, not by you getting inspired, but me using some means to influence your mind, that is violence. And that will not stay long. You would have acted under the influence of something or someone, and then later when that influence is gone, you will feel, oh my God, what did I do? But when transformation happens truly from inside, then there is a transformation of the swabhava. One's own nature is transformed. So he is calling him Mahatma to point out that as a Mahatma, Krishna Bhagavan is showing compassion and coming down to this form of Swakam Rupam. And then Arjuna says, Arjuna vacha drishtvedam manusham rupam tava saumyam janardana idanim asmi samvrittah sachetah prakritim gatah. Says, oh Krishna, now having seen your gentle form. So what Krishna does from that Virata Rupa, he comes to four-armed. And then he comes into the two-armed. The normal Krishna that he knows, Madhava, that he knows him as, that Arjuna knows him as. So he comes into that form. He says, oh Krishna, Drishtvedam Manusham Rupam, now having seen your Manusha Rupa, your gentle form, Saumyam, Tava Saumyam Janardana, your Saumya form, O Janardana, Idanim Asmi Samvrittaha. Now my mind has come to a certain Samvrittaha, some composure. Sachetaha Prakritim Gataha. Now my mind is restored to its normal form. Oh Krishna. So it is in terms of gratitude, he's saying, I am now grateful to you that you've shown me all of this and also conceded to my request of coming down from there. So see, look at this. Arjuna asked Krishna to show him the Virata Rupa because in chapter 10, Krishna explained what all he is. As Krishna, I am so many things. And in the 11th also, there are at least 25 verses he explains what he is. And then he starts showing the form. When he shows the form, that is on the request of Arjuna. Arjuna says, now please show me this form that you're describing because I'm understanding it intellectually, but I am not able to experience or really visualize what this form is. How is it possible? And then he shows him that form. And after showing him this form of all the experiences that Arjuna goes through, now Arjuna himself is now saying, Ayyo Bhagavane Poro. Thank you for this. Now please come down to your normal form. So look at this, Krishna's compassion in the whole process. At every stage, he's showing compassion. And then the next few shlokas, the last few shlokas, which we'll pick up in the next week, he'll tell Arjuna, Krishna will tell Arjuna, why I showed this to you. He'll tell him why. Because of your pure devotion, because of your love and devotion and trust and surrender to me. Right? So when we have that, it is possible for us to also experience what Arjuna experienced in our own ways. Not necessarily, I've always said, experiences are always very, very unique and very personal. And our experiences will come from the place where we are. Because only then, for you to recognize that experience, it has to happen from the place you are. Right? If you are all the time thinking of Krishna or Muruga, for example, all the time you're thinking about Muruga. And from somewhere you have some, for example, a Sufi saint comes, you will not be able to relate. So that is also compassion. The presence of Bhagavan, the presence of divinity will also come in the form that you've propitiated, or at least in a form that you will be able to relate and understand, to make sense out of it. Because why is that experience coming? So that you understand something, so that we understand something, so that we take that experience, so that we use that experience to go rise ourselves, to go to the next level of spiritual growth. right? So it will always be commensurate to where we are, how we are. Yeah. So we'll see next week how Krishna tells Arjuna why Arjuna was gifted this particular Vishwarupa Darshanam.
Fear பத்தி சொன்னது குருஜி. The fear, especially when we go in the path of adharma, ஒரு சரியான நேர்பாதையில போகாத போது அந்த பயம் இன்னும் ஜாஸ்தியா இருக்கும். Yeah. So and especially when we know or when we realize that what we are following dharmic rule path, that fear also gradually reduces. And அதான் நம்ம வந்து அகைன் இதெல்லாம் மைண்ட் தான் இந்த the more divinity you have in your mind, or probably you get more associated with devotion and Bhagavan, the fear just vanishes. Yeah. அப்படியே இந்த மிஸ்ட் மார்னிங் மிஸ்ட் வந்து சூரியன் வந்த உடனே எப்படி விலகிறதோ அந்த மாதிரி விலகிட்டு இருக்கு.
கரெக்ட்.
அண்ட் அகெயின் வென் வி அந்த எப்படி அந்த ஒரு நம்மளோட டிவினிட்டி ஆர் சிந்தனை குறையிறதோ அப்போ சடான அது தூக்கிக்கிறது தலை. என்ன ஆகும் அப்படின்ட்டு.
Correct. Absolutely. In fact, it is like this cloud that comes over and clouds your perception. In fact, fear is like a cloud. When the sun is shining bright and you see the sun, everything is bright and everything is beautiful, and the cloud comes and covers perception. That is why it said kamat krodho bhijayate. So when this from desire comes krodha or anger, and anger will also cloud your judgment. It will cloud your judgment, and when it clouds your judgment, then we don't see things clearly, and then this cloud takes over your perception, and it increases your anxiety, restlessness, and all of that. And the more we practice looking at the sun, means what? Within us, we constantly give rise to the feeling and the thought of Bhagavan in various forms. Dhyana, japa, sankirtanam. Which is why when fear comes, best thing is to play some loud sankirtanam and chant. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just shout. Shout as though nobody is around. Just like that, shout. Play some chant loudly. The people play rock music and pop music loudly, right? You can play chants, play loudly and chant. Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtiyardham chattamachun. You'll notice that after you do that few rounds, you just exhaust your body and your mind and all of that, and then you close your eyes and calm. You'll find a peace that will settle in. These are practical things we should slowly, this is why I meant we should practice. Practice. Otherwise, the problem that happens is a cloud comes, our perception is only looking at the cloud, not the Suryan behind. Where is the sun? It is there only. Sun has not gone anywhere. The cloud has come. Now what happened to my perception? My perception now suddenly focused on the cloud. I was looking at the sun. Now suddenly I'm looking at the cloud. Is that the problem of the sun? No. Whose problem is it? Right? So when the sun is now clouded by this, now I close my eyes and I visualize the sun within. I need to have a strong wind that blows the cloud away. Right? Strong wind anupana. We should send a strong wind to blow the cloud away. And that is this. You do this loud chanting, loud. In fact, if you go to ISKCON, they will dance. They'll do Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, and they'll dance. They'll stand up and dance. Dancing is an extremely effective method to get over restlessness of the mind? Swaying, dancing, jumping, and all of that. It's a very good method. So, and it is there. It is very rooted in us. The problem is fear. We don't have to be afraid of fear. And it'll be a it'll be a multiplying factor. We don't have to be afraid of fear. We have to recognize that there is fear in me. Whenever comes up, I have a method to not let it bother me. We should develop those methods. I'm not going to let it bother me. I do breathing, kriya. Breathing. The moment you get fear, notice your breathing. Your breathing will become shallow. Just close your eyes and focus on the breath and do some deep breathing. You'll see slowly some amount of that fear will reduce. So there are many such methods. We have to employ them. Fear is like a naai vara madri. The dog comes and you run behind the dog and then you're caught up. You don't know where it is going to take you. It'll run behind you till you run. Stand and face it and say, right? Fear, loneliness, all of these things are like that. Stand up, face it, have methods. There are tools available, right? We all know. Speak about these things. There is dhyanam, there is breathing, there is sankirtanam, there is japa, there is satsanga, there is yatra. We have fear, go for yatras. So a lot of these things slowly, then we train our mind to bring it to your sankalpa, your control, and say that I want you to feel this, not I am going to run behind you.
நீங்க இன்னொரு டெக்னிக் சொல்றீங்க, வாட்ச் யுவர் மைண்ட் சொல்றீங்க. இந்த மோட்ல இருக்கும்போது even if fear comes, you are able to realize that this fear, this drama is only in my mind. வெளியில எங்க அப்படின்னா அதெல்லாம் ஒண்ணுமே இருக்காது. அதெல்லாம் ட்ராமா இந்த ஃபியர்லாம் உள்ளதான் இருந்தது.
Absolutely.
So when we realize that yes, this is only going in my mind, there's nothing outside. அப்படிங்கும்போது they're able to, என்ன சொல்றது, control, it vanishes.
Karma vanishes. Because it's a non-existent thing in the first place. Fear is always about something that has not happened to you. Fear is about something that will happen to you, which you have imagined. So it is non-existent fundamentally. Basically, it is non-existent. So that's true. It vanishes because it's not like, it's like when you wake up from the dream vanishes. Did you do something specifically to vanish the dream? Poi dream kalachute or blackboard la poi you're removing something? No, you're just waking up. Right? So like that, the vanishing of the fear is a result of you waking up, or of the result of you doing something. Like a beautiful example that recently I heard, Sri Ravi Shankar gave this example. I happened to see that on this thing my daughter was showing me. When you want a mango at the tree, if you want a mango from the tree, you want a mango to fall from the tree, you don't go and hit the mango on the tree. You hit on the branch and the mango falls. If you hit the mango, it'll puncture the mango, it'll ooze out, whatever, right? The mango will get... it's very unlikely that by hitting, you will be able to hit the mango. You hit the branch, the mango falls. The same way, you do something else. Then there is fear, don't try to, or let me deal with fear and all that. No, do something else so that the fear gradually vanishes off. Right? So as a result of you doing something, fear vanishes off because it's a non-existent thing. If you're trying to do something to fear, it means you are giving it form, you're giving it material existence. What we are saying is fear doesn't exist. So why are you, oh, something doesn't exist, why do you want to go and spend time with it? Do something else so that slowly it vanishes off on its own. So like that. That's true. So which is why sadhana, dhyana, japa, swadhyaya, adhyayana, chanting, all of these are important, because these are like hitting the branch. All of these negativities will fall on its own. You don't have to aim at each negativity. Say, I'm feeling jealous, let me focus on jealousy. It will not work. You'll not be able to grasp these things. Like Nochur Swami says always, all of these things are like that snake that is trying to come out of the snake pit. The moment you see, it'll immediately vanish. The moment you know the snake, say snake is very perceptive. The moment you know the snake sees that you're seeing it, it'll immediately go into this thing. So like that, when you're trying to catch hold of ego, I'm going to now today look at my ego. I'm going to catch of my fear, my anger, my jealousy, hatred. You'll not be able to. It's very slippery. The moment you try to catch hold, it'll transform. It'll become nice. It'll show that, hey, I am this beauty. I am so beautiful. There is no problem. See the tricks of the mind. I mean, as we do some of these sadhana, some of this meditation, etc., you'll understand how the brain and the mind, essentially the mind works. It's very tricky, right? But we have to spend time with ourselves. We have to spend time. We have to spend time. ॐ कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि सदाशिवायेति समर्पयामि जगदम्बिकेति समर्पयामि सद्गुरुनाथायेति समर्पयामि हरि ओम तत्सद्गुरुभ्यो नमः
Thank you, Guruji.
देवा हरि ओम मम्मी